Anti-Semitism and the Tragic Story of the Church and the Jewish People. Today we gather to discuss a topic that has plagued humanity for centuries: anti-Semitism and the tragic story of the Church and the Jewish people. This is not just a topic for scholars and historians. It affects each and every one of us, and it is our responsibility to acknowledge and address it. The Church's anti-Semitic roots. It is a tragic fact that the Church has a history of anti-Semitism that dates back centuries. This can be seen in the works of many of the early Church Fathers, who propagated negative views of Jews and accused them of deicide. As Michael L. Brown writes in Our Hands Are Stained with Blood, many Church Fathers, including some of the most revered, propagated negative views of Jews, and some even accused them of deicide, the killing of God. One example of this is the 4th century bishop John Chrysostom, who in his homilies spoke of Jews in a highly derogatory manner. He referred to them as slayers of the Lord and accused them of all sorts of immoral behavior. As Rabbi Joseph Telushkin notes, Chrysostom's homilies have been used throughout history to incite violence against Jews. Even in the Middle Ages, as Jewish communities began to thrive in Europe, the Church continued to spread anti-Semitic propaganda. The infamous blood libel, which accused Jews of using the blood of Christian children for ritual purposes, was a particularly heinous attack. As Rabbi Telushkin writes, the accusation of blood libel was one of the most heinous attacks on Jews, and it was based on a total fabrication. It is important to acknowledge these anti-Semitic roots and their impact on the Jewish people. Only by understanding the past can we begin to move forward towards a better future of peace and understanding between Jews and Christians. As the late Rabbi Jonathan Sacks wrote, "We cannot change the past, but we can change the future by the way we remember the past." That is from Dignity of Difference, page 2. The Inquisition and Forced Conversions. As a Messianic Jew, I cannot ignore the dark history of the Inquisition and forced conversions that were carried out in the name of the Church. The Inquisition was a period of persecution and torture aimed at Jews and other non-Christians who were accused of heresy or disbelief. Those who refused to convert to Christianity were often subjugated to severe punishments, including burning at the stake. The forced conversions that followed were also a source of great trauma for Jewish communities, as many were forced to abandon their faith and practices under duress. Rabbi Dave Rosen, an interfaith activist and former chief rabbi of Ireland, has spoken out about the Church's role in these atrocities. He stated, "The Inquisition is one of the most shameful periods in Christian history, and it is something that all Christians today must recognize and condemn." The late Elie Wiesel, a Holocaust survivor and prominent Jewish author, also condemned the Church's actions during this time. He wrote, "The Church has betrayed its own principles, its own teachings. It had abandoned the very essence of its faith, which is love and compassion, and it had used force and coercion to convert people against their will." Christians must acknowledge and confront this painful history, seeking repentance and reconciliation with the Jewish community. We must remember the words of the prophet Micah, who called on us to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Micah 6:8. Let us work towards building bridges of understanding and respect, and let us never forget the suffering and trauma inflicted on our Jewish brothers and sisters during this dark period in history. The Holocaust and Christian silence. The Holocaust was a devastating tragedy that resulted in the murder of 6 million Jews by the Nazi regime during World War II. One of the most painful aspects of the Holocaust was the silence of many Christian leaders and communities in the face of this atrocity. Here are some quotes from prominent Jews, rabbis, and Christian leaders on this issue. Elie Wiesel, a Holocaust survivor and Nobel Peace Prize laureate, said, "The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. The opposite of art is not ugliness, it's indifference. The opposite of faith is not heresy, it's indifference. And the opposite of life is not death, it's indifference." This quote highlights the devastating impact of silence and indifference in the face of evil. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, a prominent Jewish leader, stated, "The tragedy of the Holocaust is not only that it occurred, but that so many stayed silent." This quote underscores the need for action and speaking out against injustice, even in the face of great risk. Pope Francis, the leader of the Catholic Church, has acknowledged the Church's complicity in the Holocaust and called for repentance and reconciliation. "We wish to turn to God with a heart that acknowledges the sins of the past and yearns for reconciliation, for the sake of the future of peace and fraternity between peoples." This quote highlights the importance of acknowledging and repenting of past wrongs in order to build a better future. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a Christian minister and civil rights leader, spoke out against the silence of many Christians during the Holocaust. "In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." This quote highlights the moral imperative to speak out against injustice, even if it may be uncomfortable or unpopular. Anne Frank, a young Jewish girl who died in the Holocaust, wrote in her diary, "How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world." This quote emphasizes the importance of taking action, even in small ways, to make the world a better place. As members of the human family, it is our responsibility to remember the Holocaust, honor the memory of those who were lost, and work towards a world where such atrocities never happen again. We must not be silent in the face of hatred and bigotry, but rather stand up for justice and equality for all. Conclusion. So what can we do to promote peace and understanding between Jews and Christians today? We can start by acknowledging the painful history of Jewish-Christian relations and working to address its ongoing legacy. We can engage in interfaith dialogue, study each other's scriptures, and work together to combat prejudice and hatred. We can also learn from the examples of leaders like Rabbi Avraham Joshua Heschel, who recognized the importance of Jewish-Christian friendship and cooperation. In the words of Rabbi Heschel, "We must not forget that it is not a Jewish message or a Christian message that we proclaim, but a message of God's love and mercy." So let us work together, both Jews and Christians, to promote God's love and mercy in the world. Let us embrace our shared values of justice, compassion, and humility, and reject the divisive forces of hatred and prejudice. Together we can build a better future for ourselves and for generations to come.